Hey guys, welcome back to In Case of Econ Struggles. Today what I want to do is I want to start a new series called Making Macroeconomic Models Easier, where I hopefully try and make some of these models that you see in an intermediate macroeconomics class a little easier to understand, a little more intuitive. The way I want to start is by giving you some reasons why I think macroeconomic models can be hard to understand. Of course, if there's other reasons that I don't list, please feel free to put that in the comment section below, just so I have a better idea of what you guys think are the reasons why macro models can be difficult, or why you think they might be easier to understand than microeconomic models. Some of the reasons that I think macro models can be hard to understand is number one, they're top down a lot of times, so it's hard to picture if you're trying to picture the entire economy at once. There's lots of math associated with these models. There's typically a lot of steps to solving equilibrium or balanced growth paths or things like that. Sometimes we use math tricks that sort of come out of nowhere. And then, of course, the main reason why I think macroeconomic models can be hard to understand is that so many things are going on at the same time. You have consumption, saving, you have people choosing between labor and leisure, you have people making investment and savings decisions, the government are doing things, you have taxes. Of course, if you're talking about open economies, you have exports and imports. And then if you have money, you've got prices, inflation, sort of financial assets. There's just a whole bunch of things going on at the same time. It can be really hard to picture, it can be really hard to understand and ultimately solve for whatever you're trying to do in those macro models. So what I want to do is I want to see if we can take some of these models that you see on the screen and others by request, sort of if you put that in the comment section below, and sort of turn these models into a microeconomic based macro model. So in terms of just like, for example, the solo model, we talk about the entire economy at once. But what if instead we talked about individual people who live within the solo model? We talk about the decisions that they make. We talk about sort of the problems they face. Then we just aggregate all those people up in the solo model to figure out what the equilibrium is in the solo model and sort of make it more intuitive, make it easier to understand. So I want to go through each of these models and sort of ask the question, can we turn these into a micro-based macro model rather than just a top-down model, and see if it makes the math easier, see if it makes the intuition easier. So in order to do that, in order to use a micro-based macro model, let's sort of talk about exactly how we would set up a person who lives within these models. So what I like to do when I talk about macro models, I like to think about coconuts. So I'm going to talk about Bill, who's my favorite character in these videos, and I'm going to talk about Bill's coconut world. So what we're going to have is we're going to have Bill. We can have as many people as we want, and they're all going to be exactly like Bill. Bill is going to have a utility function, and his goal is to maximize that utility function. The only good that we're going to start off with in this economy are going to be coconuts. And of course, you can do this with real or nominal sort of amounts. If we're talking about real amounts, we're talking about the number of coconuts. So for example, if Bill gets a wage of 5 per hour, then he's getting 5 coconuts per hour. We can also have nominal amounts when we introduce money and dollars and prices, where now if the wage that Bill gets for working is $15 per hour, but the price of coconuts is 3, he's still getting 5 coconuts an hour. That's his real wage. His nominal wage is that $15 per hour. Sort of the second group or the second party in this model is going to be the firm, which are just going to be firms that produce coconuts. It's going to have a profit function. It's going to be owned by some household. It's going to pay workers a wage. It's going to rent coconut trees from workers or from individuals. It's going to pay a rental rate. The government, if we have a government in any model, it's going to be a party that collects taxes and either hands out coconuts or dollars. It's basically going to have taxes and spending, and that's what the government's going to do. Point number 2 about this micro model is we talked about Bill deciding whether or not how much to work. If he's going to work or rent coconut trees, basically there's going to be a firm, and Bill can work L hours to get his wage for the amount of hours that he works. Bill's going to have some coconut trees, and he's going to be able to rent out those coconut trees to the firm, and they're going to pay Bill a rental rate based on how many coconut trees Bill lends out to that firm. Now, in some models, we're not going to worry about the labor leisure decision at all. We're just going to give Bill a certain amount of coconuts every day, and Bill's going to get to decide what to do with those coconuts. And that's called an endowment, where you can think about, again, every day just a box of coconuts shows up on Bill's doorstep, and Bill can choose maybe how much to save and how much to spend, for example, maybe how much to lend out or borrow or things like that. These are just 2 different ways that Bill can get coconuts in these models. Of course, in some models, like the solo model, we really care about how much Bill is going to save for the next period. The way Bill can save for 2 periods is one of 2 different possibilities. Number 1, he can invest, and the way Bill is going to invest, he's just going to take a coconut that he gets in period T, He's going to put it in the ground, and tomorrow he's going to have a coconut tree that he can rent out to a firm. So basically, that's what we're going to call investing. Way number two is that if Bill has a coconut and Dave does not have a coconut but wants to borrow a coconut from Bill, then Bill can basically lend out a coconut to Dave. And then tomorrow, Dave will repay Bill the coconut that he owes plus some interest rate or 1 plus R. So if we sort of put that all together, then we can sort of make this really convoluted looking circular flow diagram. But this is basically just sort of compiling everything we just talked about into one diagram. When we talk about specific models, we'll sort of be able to gray out or not include everything that you see on the circular flow. But of course, this is just Bill's complete world that we're going to use to try and make some of those macroeconomic models into sort of more like a microeconomic model. So in the next video, we'll start by talking about the solo model. If this video or these videos in general are helping you out, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time for another case of econ struggles.